Good evening, folks, and welcome to Debate the News on this Monday, the 10th of March, 2025. Hey, do me a favor, folks. If you're listening to us at home, come join us by downloading the Chatter Social app. That app can be downloaded either on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Download it, come join us. We start these shows approximately 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time nightly. So make sure you guys come join us. Also, folks, if you guys are in the audience, click the link up top and follow the podcast. Make sure you guys are following the podcast. Download at least 10 of those podcasts for us as well. We would greatly appreciate that, guys. We got a good one for you tonight. We got January 6th on the slate tonight, guys. And the pardons of January 6th is more specifically what we're going to speak about. So let's get to it, folks. Hopefully you guys are ready to debate this one. I think this one's going to be hot. Let's go. Wow. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Debate the News. Man, I'm actually happy to be back. I took a couple of days off myself. We had Women's Day and on Saturday on the 8th, and the women took over and they did a phenomenal job. So if you guys haven't had the opportunity to listen to that particular podcast, go back and listen to the 8th podcast. It was done all by the women of the show, and they did a phenomenal job at just making sure that all the information got out there. So it's pretty freaking awesome. It's pretty cool to have that happen. And then last night we did a canned episode of, that we had. And that one was pretty spicy. So I'm not going to tell you what that one is on the 9th. But we're back live tonight, okay? And guess what? We got a spicy one. January 6th, the pardons of January 6th, more specifically, is what we're speaking about. And it's really a dicey subject, interesting subject, because I wonder how they're going to look at it 10, 15, 20 years from now, and what changes it's going to lead in terms of how we handle justice in this country. So with that being said, before I get started, I want to make sure Skald says, Skald, are you here, my friend? Skald going twice.
I'm here.
You're here.
Good, Jonathan.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure. Now, before I go to Skald, I want to make sure. All right. So, do we have any people on our right here as well that can do a Dateline? I just want to make sure because I don't see anyone on the right here to do a Dateline. We may have Skald do both of them. So, Skald, I'm going to call you back maybe after we get the show going, and you can give us some the right-leaning Dateline as well. How's that? All right, because I definitely want both sides heard. And you do it well for both sides. So definitely looking forward to that. But Skald, my friend, first of all, how was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. So, had a busy weekend with the kiddo, and just good time going around town. It's pretty warm up here, even though it was a good day to go to parks and be outside. How was your weekend?
It was phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal. I got a little rest, but Skald, it seems like it's been a busy, busy day, especially with the stock market. I definitely wanted to talk about that today, but I'm going to leave that to you because I know you're going to incorporate it into your Dateline because it was a busy day. I reached out to Cindy Stumpo's fiance, Ray, to figure out what the hell was going on because from the time I got up this morning, I did the morning show, and it was just the market was tanking. The 10-year it was down. The yield was down. I was like, okay. I was watching it, and it just never stopped. So with that, I'm gonna turn this right over to you. Jump into the Dateline and give us a business update while you're at as well.
All right, sounds good. Good evening, and welcome to Debate the News here on March 10th, 2025. We've got a lot of things going on today, a lot of things in the news. Firstly, we've got obviously our headline, which I will get to in a minute, but there are a few other major things that happened. One of these things, and I think is a shameful example of the weaponization of our government, is Mahmoud Khalil was arrested for his part in supposedly organizing protests. Mahmoud Khalil is a Palestinian activist and former graduate student at Columbia University. Former only because they were arrested, and has been charged with. It's not clear that he's been charged with any crime at all. However, they are attempting to deport him. And the reason why this matters, folks, is there are some amendments in the Constitution that only apply to American citizens, such as the right to bear arms. That is your right as an American. However, the First Amendment applies to everyone, including immigrants. And here we are. We have a direct hit on someone who was here legally on a visa, who was exercising their legally protected First Amendment rights. And now they are
Throw the
possibly getting
bomb
deported.
out!
A
Throw the fucking bomb
shameful
out!
a
Benstock, mute up.
shameful
Dateline,
example of
Dateline.
trampling upon our rights and upon our free speech. Panama has released detained deportees from the U.S. amid human rights criticism. These were folks that we had deported to Panama, and Panama thought they were so dangerous they kept them locked up, but now they are out. In addition to this, Fox News asked Trump if he is comfortable that Ukraine may not survive. And that was an awkward conversation, but really highlighting to the president that, we have a moral and ethical responsibility to defend our democratic partners worldwide, as we are, after all, the arsenal of democracy, folks.
They're not Democrats.
Additionally, Trump defends Supreme Court Justice Amy, has, mind you, hello?
No, go ahead,
Oh,
Cole. Go ahead.
Mamie Coney Barrett has Amy Coney Barrett has obviously dissented from the conservative Supreme Court, and Trump came to bat for her as the far right has criticized her as a DEI hire all over social media, just disgustingly calling her out as soon as she broke from the right wing orthodoxy. Anyway, this is where we're going to go ahead and leave off here, and we're going to go into the Trump session. That's right, the recession that is being caused by the frivolous application of tariffs. How bad is it, folks? How bad are the tariffs? How bad is the Trump economy? It's so bad that the Heritage Foundation, the architects and authors of Project 2025 themselves, have written a letter decrying Trump's use of tariffs and talking about the reckless economic damage that it causes. Even his most ardent supporters have begun to denounce him in writing as yet another brutal day in the stock market. Tesla, of course, took a real beating, down over 11% on the day. 20 billion wiped off Elon Musk's net worth in a single trading day. The market can eat you alive, folks. And then lastly, getting back to the actual Dateline. Apparently, the pardons may include some crimes outside of January 6th. However, within the last hour, a court just ruled that a plot to murder FBI agents and another plot to potentially kidnap someone are not going to be covered by the January 6th pardons. Oh, good grief. I'll go ahead and leave that there, and I land.
Hey,
Absolutely.
John.
One second, Brian. 1 second. I'm going to come to you for a Dateline, bro. So get ready. I want to talk to Cindy real fast. Cindy, are you there? See Stumpo going twice. All right. The
I'm
reason I
right.
was
I'm
reaching,
right here. I'm right here.
yeah,
I'm
the
right
reason
here.
I was reaching out to Cindy is Ray there because I reached out because I was like, what the hell's going on here? And so I want to know what Ray is thinking about what's going on with the economy and the
I
policies.
know what Wade's going to say to you, but I'll go out to the room and see. He's
Let's-
going to tell you the same thing I'm telling you. It's uncertainty.
Debate fucking stocks and Trump and shit.
I think he won't debate stocks and Trump and shit. You just heard what he said, right?
All right, no problem. Just want to know, like, once again, I want to know. So it's uncertainty. So Cindy, the policies that we have going on here. that Trump has, I guess, employed. I mean, the tactics in terms of tariffs. It seems to be hitting us, the Americans, really hard right now, and it's causing a lot of uncertainty amongst Americans as well as the markets. Is that going to just? Do you think that's going to be relegated to just the U.S. or is it going to affect us, the entire world?
Again, I'm going to say this. I've said this 1,000 times. I told you we were running into bad times for 2024 and 25 was going to be bad. And I said what half of 26, and I said this back in 22. So and I also said I didn't care who was going to be president. The markets are going to go where the markets are going to go. So look at 4 weeks ago, the stock market was an all-time high of ever. Was it
Yeah.
4 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And uncertainty. The stock market doesn't like uncertainty. So tariffs are something that is what? It's uncertain. But again, let's just try to keep it simple. If you're making money on your end and I'm not making money on my end, is that fair play?
Well, that doesn't mean. Oh, you're talking about
No.
for tariffs. You're talking about for tariffs.
Correct.
Okay, theoretically, no, that's not fair play. But there, go ahead.
Well, that's the whole thing. Lower your tariffs.
Hey, Cindy, have you
One second,
felt?
Brian, I'm gonna bring you in, bro. I just wanna because I wanna
Lower your
just
tariffs on us, and then you won't have a problem. There's many things. I mean, look, we can go back to the Reagan administration, right? And everybody thought he was crazy for the first year and a half. Blah blah blah. Look what Reagan's doing to the economy. Bah bah bah. And then what happened? When it all fell into place, it was one
recession.
of the no, no. Once he came up with Reagan economics, right?
Oh,
Recession.
Reaganomics.
Reaganomics.
Yeah,
It was a tough year and a half, and then everything seemed to fall in place, and it all made sense.
1982. Look at it. It was the beginning of the biggest bull market in American history. 1982.
Did you hear what Ray just said?
Yeah, 1982.
Cindy, I'm glad you brought up Reagan. You've got to correct the wrongs of the prior administration, and you had drunken sailors spending money that they didn't have on things that didn't benefit anybody, and you're putting a stop to that. And of course, there's going to be an impact. It's just like in your own personal budgeting. If you're spending money, you found yourself getting behind, you're going to feel a little bit of pain, and then you stop the spending, you start paying down the debt, and you have growth. Just so we're all aware, Canada increased and enhanced their tariffs on us. Have you felt it? Is anything you bought that cost more? Absolutely not.
No.
City.
I think this is a ploy by Donald Trump to let the market settle into place so that guess what? So those freaking monsters at the Fed can lower interest rates. You've had, all these idiots like Bing trying to blame Trump for this stuff. This economy is not Trump's economy. He's correcting the wrongs of 4 or 5 years of absolute fiscal irresponsibility by a
Hmm.
guy that was crapping in his diaper.
You know,
The Fed,
Wait, Brian. Let,
the
let me
Fed,
let me hold
the
you there for a
real
second.
estate,
Let me just hold you there for a
the real
second. Let me.
estate market has collapsed. That was
Okay,
under Biden. That
but
was under
Brian.
listen,
Biden.
Brian. Let me step in for a minute because I said almost the identical same thing to you that you just said. I said to Ray about 2 hours ago. Did I not? Wants to get to a place where he's lowering the rates, right?
Yeah,
And I
and by
believe
the
that.
way,
But
and God,
here's Brian. Here's the confusing part for me. What I've seen in business for 37 years, the market crashes before the stock market always crashes before the real estate market. This is the first time that the real estate market has crashed before the stock market,
no,
Justin.
it's
Yes, it
not.
has.
Well,
All right,
Hey,
I'll
Cindy,
give it. I'll give it to
in
you. Black Monday,
1987,
Black Monday '87.
1987, yeah,
Stock market
the
went down
stock market,
first, and then the
right?
real estate market fell to the year later. We went
That's
into it
correct.
at '88.
But
but
we have
Brian, I
now.
got to stop.
'07,
Brian, I need to
'07,
correct Brian.
'08, the market sank,
Yeah,
and then the real estate market fell
yeah.
behind it.
Cindy,
I'm
I got to
giving you
correct
real
Brian.
data here.
Yeah, I want to correct
But
Brian on something, Brian, because you said this is not Trump's economy. He's correcting I guess, the ills of the past. But just a month ago, 2 weeks ago, you guys were saying it is his economy, and look at what he's doing and how great it's going.
John, he's going to do just fine.
No,
It's going
no,
to
but
take
Brian, what you don't get? You
John,
said, back then you
John.
said this is a result of his policies
No. What?
and everything else. That now you're saying it's not his. I mean, make up your
Hey,
mind.
John, did you listen to the State of the Union? He said it's going to be bumpy. And because when you stop the spending, there's pain. John, I don't know where you grew up or how you grew up, but I grew up in a world where they would lay off police officers and sanitation workers when the budget didn't have the money. We haven't had that in 20 years. We just keep expanding and expanding and expanding and expecting that the taxpayers can take this. He's doing what's fiscally responsible. And no politician wants to do that. Every politician gets reelected by saying, we're going to give away free tuition. We're going to give away free health care to the migrants. We're going to give away. And who's paying for this? All of us. So believe it or not, this guy is putting in tough discipline, and there's going to be some pain. I am a business owner. I have 3 businesses. We employ 500 people. There is going to be pain for me. I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. But on some level, a reasonable person has to assume we have to stop the party. You've got this American Express card that America's been using, and eventually that bill's got to be paid. And by the way, our debt is coming up for renewal this year, and it's renewing. It's currently being supported at 2 or 3% interest rates. It'll be renewed at 7%, and the country will go broke. It can't afford it.
And Brian, what they're not understanding why your marketplace is hurting right now, it's all based on interest rates. You know it and I know it, right? And coming from 25 years in the automobile industry, you know when the buy rate and you're moving your buy rate for what you have it for and you can't hold on, what we used to call the back end money, right, is now the front end money. And the sales of the cars is the back end money, right? You need
Cindy,
service,
Cindy,
you need the interest,
but you don't need
but
to
your
get
floor
industry
plan money
specific.
has got to be killing you right now.
It went from a $200,000 a month credit to a $300,000 a month debit. So it's a $500,000 swing
Yep,
right out of our
yep.
profit. But why not relate it to the average person? Everybody is paying credit card debt. Everybody's paying mortgage debt that have all increased. You can't buy
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
new on
guys.
credit.
I think we're getting a little off track here.
But we're
In
not,
terms,
we're, Jonathan. We're talking about what you're
We're, we're,
talking
we're
about.
talking about we're talking about why there's some temporary pain, John,
no, no, the
nobody
temperate.
nobody wants. Hey, your fat ass don't want to go to the gym, but you know it'd be good for you. A little bit
Okay.
of pain, a little bit of pain be good for you, but you
Yeah.
don't do it, and eventually your heart
Brian,
throws
Brian,
up.
what,
God
Brian,
forbid. So
Brian,
you
what
got to
I,
get to the gym. You got to exercise. You got to you have to put in
Brian,
some fiscal restraint. Fiscal
yeah.
restraint.
But
But Brian, what I
And
want to say to
John,
Jonathan,
you,
why?
We've had many conversations in the last
Well,
couple of
well,
years.
yeah, but
I said
Cindy,
to you,
we're talking about tariffs, right? Because right
you
now
can.
the Heritage Foundation came out, okay, and everyone's saying everything opposite of you guys, everyone, including his closest allies, and you guys are saying, hey, nothing to see here. That's what you guys are saying,
No, what
essentially.
I'm saying to you is that it was time for the market to cycle out. And we've had this conversation for 3, 4 years. Like,
John,
economy cycles,
who
market
said nothing
cycle.
to see here? We said just the opposite. There is something to see here. There's going to be fiscal restraint and there's going to be suffering. And it's not good for anybody, but it's necessary to keep America floating. But what you're not saying, John, is not you're not talking about these politicians like Elizabeth Warren with 67 million in net worth, the AOC
That
with
is a
10 million,
lie. You are
and,
lying.
Yeah.
Jonathan,
no,
stop him
no,
from lying.
Got to jump in,
she's got
Tara.
You're lying.
60.
She doesn't have 67 million. It's 8 to 12
She,
million.
her
You're
name
Exactly.
is
She
looking at
her
doesn't. No,
name
she
is
weirdo
doesn't.
posts on
Elizabeth.
She has
X.
Her
nowhere
name
near
is
enough,
You are
Brian.
Elizabeth
looking at
Warren.
weirdo posts on X, and as usual, you are taking them to be true without
But
doing
Tira,
any
Elizabeth
investigation
Warren,
Tira,
of your own.
hold on, Tira.
Brian,
I'm going to throw you
Pocahontas.
back. How
Listen
did
to me.
she make 18 to 20 million with
I
what
said
she's
8 to
salary?
12 million. She and her
Okay,
Who?
husband
even
both
8 to
have
12
jobs.
million.
Who
Most
are
of
you
it's
talking
in
about?
real estate
AOC?
in
She's
Cindy.
talking
Most of
about
it's
No,
in
Warren.
real
Elizabeth
estate
Warren.
in
Oh,
Cambridge, which went up quite a bit, as you probably know. Her husband works as well. We're talking about 20, 30 years. She's written books, etc. Are you telling me that someone who bought
Nobody
like two
bought those
houses in
stupid
Cambridge
books.
can't have
Nobody
some
bought
sort of
those books.
gain
Who?
on
Brian,
that?
one second, Brian. You've been talking a lot.
Brian,
Let her talk.
it's not, you said 67 million. That's bull. That's completely wrong. Cindy, what I'm
That's a
telling you
number
is
that's
most of it is
reported.
in real
That's a
estate. And I
number
think you
that's
will
reported.
understand that if you buy something for 800,000 in Cambridge, it can easily be worth 3 to 4 million at this point.
A
That's
thousand
not
percent.
67. That's
Absolutely.
not
Okay,
67.
But
It's
Brian,
not
there's no
67,
$67
Brian.
million
You're
dollars.
lying.
Eh, Elizabeth Warren.
It's the number reported.
It's
No,
not.
It's
it's
the number
reported
That's
as
remember that's
reported.
on
X with
X.
no sourcing. Go look at her financial disclosure forms. Go look at there's a government website that talks about how much money people have. She has 8 to 12 million. It's not 67 million.
How
You're
did
just
she
looking
get
at the
that?
wrong
How
stuff.
did she get
Oh,
that?
now, okay,
Uh,
so now Brian is
no,
taking me
no.
from
I'll
67 to 8 to
concede
12. And
if
I
I could
just said to
see.
you,
If
her
I could.
husband
Well,
works, he
Brian, I
works.
can break it. What Tara's saying because she understands Cambridge. Let's say the woman did own a couple, two, three families in Cambridge, right? And when she bought them way back in the day, she's how old now? They have appreciated to massive amounts of money. So if you're going to take her real estate holdings and add that to the equation, yeah, she could get, especially if she has a few pieces of property in Cambridge, I can get it to
My,
eight,
my, my,
nine
my,
million.
my my daughter's going to Cambridge. I can buy a college unit right now for less than £1 million. So sorry.
In
No,
pounds? You're
Yeah,
buying
and,
it in
and
pounds? Good
a
luck.
million
wait a minute, no,
pounds,
no, 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 no,
less than a million
not in
pounds
Cambridge, not in
today.
Cambridge,
Yeah, my
Brian, not in
daughter's
Cambridge.
going to school there. She's seeking housing this year, and I'm in the process
In
of buying
Harvard
her something.
Square,
And no,
in
in Cambridge University in
That's
England.
England.
In England,
oh, in
Didn't believe
England,
in
in England.
college.
yeah.
I thought
No,
you
you don't
meant.
even know what you're talking about, bro. They're talking about Massachusetts.
Oh, but Massachusetts. She lives in Cambridge. Oh my
Oh
God,
my
Brian,
God,
you're
I knew
stupider
he
than
meant
I
England.
thought.
I thought, yeah, Brian, we're talking about Cambridge,
Yeah. Well,
Massachusetts.
okay.
No,
Listen,
Cindy,
listen.
he just want
The,
to
the,
deflect from what's happening right now because he doesn't want Trump to take the blame for what Trump is out here
no,
doing,
no.
which Trump's
Trump.
his cohorts are
Listen.
telling him that he's wrong. But you want to deflect the Democrats, Biden. Look what happened in Biden's economy. No, we're talking about what's happening right now with what Trump is doing that's causing the
God,
markets to
oh my,
drop the way they're
well, you
dropping
can't fix.
right now. The
You can't
tariffs,
fix.
the tariffs
You
with the other
can't
countries
fix
and everything,
stupid.
they're
You
dropping
can't.
when that's happening.
What
Right. You can't
tariff?
fix
But
you and you
remember,
Okay,
can't
guys,
remember,
one second,
and
one
you
guys,
Can you
can't
second.
tell me what
One second,
tariffs are
guys. We're
on?
not doing that. One second, Brian. Guys,
but
go ahead,
hold on,
Rochelle. Go ahead.
Jonathan.
you
Let me,
can't fix
What?
right. You can't
One,
fix stupid. You
one,
can't fix
okay,
Trump. You
What
can't
so
fix
guys,
tariffs
yourself.
are
one
That's
remember
mic
on?
on
that.
Tell
Rochelle,
something.
me.
guys. One mic.
Well,
Guys, help
remember
me moderate
something.
this.
Remember something about the stock market. It could be up 1,000 points by Friday. You never know with the market.
Yes, that's
Okay.
true. That's true. That's
All right.
true.
So if you want to talk about, it's all time high and it's off by a percentage from its all time high, right after he got elected. So, the market's going to level off. It's going to play its games. We know that. I mean, anybody that is in the stock market knows it goes up, it goes down, it can drop, it can go up. I mean, that's part of the game of the market. But the real estate market is taking a beating out there right now, for sure. It is a buyer's market for sure. And guys got to unload. They got to unload on their properties. They're unloading left and right.
So
But they've
Cindy,
been
talk
doing.
about
Cindy,
Hold on, but
Cindy,
let me
Cindy.
that
finish.
market,
Let me
that the
finish.
commercial real
That
estate
did not
market
All right,
start.
has been
one mic,
getting
That
guys.
let
One
killed
me
mic.
for a
One mic.
finish.
long time.
There
You
we
know.
go. All right. So here's the deal, folks. Yeah, when I say one mic, we definitely got to do one mic here. All right. Definitely want to speak about this, but I want Rochelle because I want a different voice in here, and then and she was speaking to Cindy, so Cindy can go. Okay, and then Brian, you can jump back in. Terry, you want to and Skull, are you here because you're the economist here? I want you in here as well, and then because I definitely want to touch on this before we pivot. But go ahead, Rochelle.
No, I just want them to talk about what's happening as of late and how it's tied to the tariff situation. That seems to be what's causing this immediate drop in the markets that's been happening over the past couple of days. Stick to that because Cindy has always said that things are going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. So she stayed consistent in what
But
she stated.
you didn't let
But
me
what I'm
finish
talking,
my
but what I'm
last
but
sentence.
well, go ahead and finish your sentence.
Okay, so the real estate market had started to drop at the end of 2023, and 24 was not a good year. Who was president in 2024? Thank you.
Biden, good.
Okay, because it's called cycles. Period. Interest
Okay,
rates
but
went
Cindy,
up
you
high. Interest rates
okay?
went up high. Slowed down the
Mm-hmm.
market. Slowed down the end users from purchasing. That started the end of 23, guys. Look it up. Jonathan, you know better than anybody. You write mortgages. When did you
Yes,
slow down?
absolutely.
Okay.
Uh,
Was
Right,
that
but
under
nobody's
Trump?
answering my
No.
question about what has happened over the past week that's directly tied to the tariff situation. So speak about that, Cindy.
Look, I come from a middle place. I know you think I'm a righty and I'm not a righty. I
No,
think that
I know you
I
are,
think
Centrist.
that I'm not, Brian, and you have to respect what I'm going to say right now. I don't like uncertainty. Nobody likes uncertainty. That's number one. Number two, I don't like the flexing, and then you'd fall down on your flexing. If I'm going to say, listen, this is the way it's going to go, then I'm going to do it that way, right? I'm not going to flex and say, okay, and then I back it down. Now I don't know. You're going left, you're going right, you're going up, you're going down. You got me a little fucking confused too here, Brian. And I just wish
No,
that whatever he was doing or whatever his plans were, he'd keep it a little bit under the radar and stop putting all this fear out.
but
That's
here's
what
the
I'm
thing,
saying.
Cindy. No, but you've been consistent, like I said, and what you said, and likely what you said what is what would be happening right now. But if not for the tariffs, but on a different wavelength, basically. What I'm specifically wanting to speak about is what's happening with the markets as we speak. That's directly tied to the tariff wars that Trump is having with, let's see, Canada, Mexico, China, Europe. Aren't those things tied into the drops that have been happening over the past week?
But yes, but we can't just judge things on today and yesterday and what's going to happen tomorrow. Again, the
That's not
stock
what we're doing,
market,
Cindy.
but the stock market could go flying in three
Yeah, it
days.
it can go up, down, high, low, pink, purple, respectfully.
And then what are
With
we going to
what has
say in a week?
happened,
Oh, okay,
with what
Trump's
has
doing a great
happened.
job. The stock
So
market's
so
up
would
again.
so can you acknowledge that because of his tariff wars that he's running around here having schizophrenia about that that's directly tied to what has happened in the past week with the markets? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, that's definitely
Okay,
causing the
thank you.
uncertainty for sure. But again, you have to look at the big play here. What is his long game? This is not a sprint, this is a marathon. So what's his long game? That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's what I'm trying to understand. What is the long game? And I don't know what the long game
And
is,
meanwhile,
and we'll
everybody's
Absolutely,
have to
suffering
see
because
absolutely,
he's
that.
running around here playing.
absolutely, guys, and that's what we're gonna try to figure out. Skull, what are your thoughts here, man? You've been watching this, paying attention to this. You watch this market like all day, every day.
Yep. Yeah, so I've got some opinions here, and yes, markets are not predictable. Um, However, they are modelable, and there is quantitative finance. Attempts are made at this, and one of these attempts is called a daily moving average, which takes an average of the last 5, 30, or 200 days. 200 days is considered the largest support because it looks back at the last 200 trading days and says, well, that's probably the price floor, right? That's probably a very strong support, right? It's probably not going to break past that. And the S&P 500 SPY, right, has broken past that 200-day moving average. So we are definitely in a bearish market, right? There's really no debating that, and there's really no signs that this bearish market is going to turn around tomorrow. Yes, it always could, right? There's a possibility, right? If I had a crystal ball, I'd be richer than Elon Musk, right? But but there are very few indications right now that in the near term anything is going to significantly change. And we might have some green days here, but the trend seems to be bearish right now. And tariffs are a part of these. And guys,
And so
tariffs.
isn't and so isn't the commercial real estate market.
Yeah,
You've got trillions
but
of
Cindy,
dollars.
Cindy, I want him to land. I want him to land, and then
Go
we can jump.
ahead, but let's call it the way it is. Like, let's be honest here.
No, 100%, and Cindy's actually entirely correct here. Typically we see a softening in the stock market, and then the real estate market goes afterwards, or they're coincident, right? So like they happen at almost the exact same time. What is
That's
interesting is this time we have seen a softening and a weakening in the real estate market prior to the stock sell off, right? I mean, last year was,
bingo.
we were going gangbusters in the market, yet we had a lot of signs. We had decreased new housing starts. We had slowly decreasing month over month, comparing a month in the previous year. Home sales, right? We had a decline. So, and that's accelerated. January was a very brutal month, which is normally not a great month for home builds and home sales, but it was especially brutal this year. So, we
But you have
definitely.
to go back, Scott, you got to go back to the home stock prices. They've been down since last year. They've been going down, steadily down off their highs last year, too.
Right.
And you can't forget about, and again, I'm glad you backed me up with that the real estate market usually goes behind the stock market. This time it went in front of the stock market. But that's because of the commercial end. There's trillions of dollars owed on buildings in the commercial aspect, right? And when those banks are taking these hits, that is going to cause a problem. We've been saying that for 2 years.
All right.
And another
I,
thing that's been going on for 2 years that a lot of people don't realize is many of the largest financial institutions are sitting on tens or even hundreds of billions of dollars in unrealized losses. This is because the bond rate basically went up at such a rapid pace, and the
Correct.
banks had obviously purchased bonds at lower rates. Now, in theory, right, if the banks hold these to maturity, those unrealized losses will likely evaporate and things will be fine. However, right, in the meantime, it does put additional stress on our banking system until those bonds, begin to get closer to maturity and things like that. So
That's
there
fine.
are
If you had
several.
locked in your treasury bills for 2, 3 years, which you could have, at
Mhm.
almost 5%, some were 5%, a little over, a little under, you could have locked your money up for 2, 3 years, right? But some people just can't do that. I can't. I have to ladder treasury bills, right? But because I never know when I need what I need to go out and do what I need to do, right?
Right,
So, but the
and though
average person that did write treasury bills with Ray for 2 years, 3 years, they're sitting pretty for the next 2, 3 years.
And though we do
hey,
have
Skull.
these economic headwinds, right, and these headwinds are probably what's increasing the severity of the market sell off, one of the main drivers is the tariffs. And all you need to do and look is you can literally look at the chart, guys, on the Dow, on the S&P 500, and then you can go back and look and see when Trump spoke. And it's so bad now that traders have a Trump tracker that tells us. Like, I got an alert on my phone this morning when I woke up that he was going to speak at 2 p.m. Right? So I mean, literally, like, he keeps saying tariffs, and those are dangerous, guys. And I don't know how else to put this. Yes, tariffs might eventually help America, maybe. But guys, it's kind of like hitting your own dick with a hammer and expecting your dick to get bigger from the resulting swelling. It's not a good idea. Like, it's just bad.
Absolutely. Hey, guys. Anyone else?
I
Anyone
land.
else want? Yeah. Anyone else that haven't spoken yet? Anyone else that haven't spoken yet want to speak about this before we go back into anyone else going
That's Michelle
twice?
was so
This is
disgusting.
Miki. I'd like to speak about it.
Go ahead. Let's go, Miki.
So Donald Trump is not very good with the stock market. If everyone remembers 2018, the market was actually down after we had an unprecedented 10-year bull run from Barack Obama, which started in 2009. So the thing to remember for those of you that have portfolios, and no one is giving financial advice, but this is really the time for you to make sure that you're not overexposed to risk and volatility. Basically, meaning if you see these 10% dips, like the NASDAQ had an official correction, which is a 10% decline, then are you able to sleep at night, right? If you're not able to sleep at night, traditional financial advice says, oh, just buy the dip. But if you can't sleep at night, that means that your portfolio is probably a little bit too more volatile than for what you can stand. You also need to make sure that your time in the market can withstand this volatility because, as several people have said, we don't really know when this is going to go away. Trump's precedent is tanking the market. That's literally what he does. We can even go back to Q1 2020 at the beginning of COVID when the market tanked. He's just not good with the economy.
That
Thank
had to
God.
do with COVID.
May I
Don't,
finish? It doesn't
yep,
matter.
well, okay,
We've
but
had worse
let's
things
call it the
happen.
way it is.
We've had worse things happen in this country, Cindy. We've had the Great Depression. We've had several great recessions. We've had 1987. We've had 1929. We've had the Great Flu. I'm not really sure why Americans are so willing to give Donald Trump a pass every single time. If he can't lead during times of disruption, maybe he shouldn't be president and maybe people shouldn't have voted for him. I don't really give a fuck what's going on in the country. If he can't handle the job, regardless of what happens, he needs to step down because other presidents have weathered the storm. So, may I continue? Thank you. Like I said, make sure you're looking at how long you have to be in the stock market. If you were closer to retirement, traditional wisdom says perhaps you are overexposed, right? But the thing that I wanted to say is what's being done right now is intentional and deliberate, and I'm not really sure why. When you play at these things, almost as a toddler plays with the computer, right? This is not good. I'm not really sure what the intention is behind this, but they are real people with investments. I'm not worried about the big boys. The big boys are fine. There's still trillions of dollars sitting on the sidelines in dry paper, as we call it, dry powder, right? For people to step in to acquire real estate, houses, stocks, bonds whenever things dip. That's how the wealthy stay wealthy. I'm concerned with middle and average America. What is going on is not good. When there is uncertainty, because the market is a forward indicator, it is not a past indicator, right? This is completely on Donald Trump and his administration and the confidence or lack of confidence, I should say, that people have in his administration. So, President Trump, if you're listening, can you please cut the bullshit? You don't intend to do any of these tariffs, just like you backed down from the Mexican president. You're probably going to back down from the Canadian tariffs. And we know very well what happened the last time you tried to do-si-do with China. China do-si-doed right over to Brazil, and we had to pay our farmers billions of dollars. So can you cut the crap, please? Why don't you focus on birthright citizenship or some other such nonsense and leave American money by itself? And please allow the stock market to do exactly what it normally does, which is self regulate. We don't need any help in lowering our 401ks. You're not about to 2008 us. Thank you very much. I'm done speaking.
All
Thank you
right.
for playing. Thank you.
One second, one second. I want Cindy. Cindy, you want to respond?
I do.
Let's
What
go.
caused, do you, Mekey, no disrespect here, but we're still trying to figure out what really crashed in 87 Black Monday? Do you know we still really don't know why that market, we know the '08 crash was the banking crisis. Do you know to this day, we really don't have a firm answer on what happened in 87?
Right.
Uh,
I will agree that there's a lot of uncertainty, but what I'm
Okay.
saying is that
Who was
we can.
president in 87?
Who was president in 87?
Yeah.
Why are
what's it called? Reagan. Reagan.
that doesn't
Okay.
have anything to do with what's going on now. And there's plenty that Reagan did that we can actually point to. I was a child, but Reaganomics doesn't work. Trickle down economics doesn't work. We can look at the
Oh,
Laffer
come
curve.
on. Of course it works.
I've actually met Mr. Laffer. It doesn't work, and he's
Okay.
he's very conservative, by the way. So the point is that we can absolutely look to the leader of the country when it comes to what is going to happen with the stock market, which actually is not an official indicator of the economy, I might add. Saying that Donald Trump is doing these things, which are completely not necessary. If you want to negotiate for tariffs, right? If you think that we're being taken advantage of, because I can agree, there are some tariffs that Canada has that are already over 100% because China just placed tariffs on Canada because Canada turned around, what was it, a few weeks or a few months ago, Scald, and actually put tariffs on Chinese products. So this is happening outside of the United States. But guess what? We're not seeing the heads of state from Canada and China tweet about it. What Donald Trump is doing is being performative, just like he was a reality TV show. What I'm telling him to do is take it to the boardroom. You have that whole White House, you have Air Force One. How about you fly over there and shake hands with whoever is in charge in these places and you have discussions like men do, like business people do? It's not a podcast. I don't want to be privy to the back and forth while you're trying to figure things out and you have things that are hanging in the balance, such as people getting fired, such as the deficit increasing, such as a tax cut for wealthy people and corporations, which is the same thing that he did the first time he was in office. It's not going to work this time around. Because what did those wealthy people and corporations do? They bought back their stock. Did that benefit the average American? No, it did not. So that's what I'm saying. You're not
And
going to
big
get
and big corporations employ people. Don't forget that.
big corporations employ people, but the biggest employer, and you should know this, Cindy, is small businesses. Small businesses employ far more people than big corporations do. Everyone is not in corporate America. Again, my concern is not for the wealthy people in corporations who are going to be fine, regardless of what happens with the stock market, right? Why? Because they've been invested since the day is long. Their money is invested before they're even born. They're good. I'm not worried about them. What I'm worried about is a president who is artificially creating chaos, right? Just for no reason. I'm not really sure why. We don't need to hear you threatening Mexico one day and then backing down like you don't know what the
I
hell is
did
going
say,
on.
if you remember, I did say that, right? You heard me say that.
Yes, absolutely, and I agree.
Okay.
Just like lumber and all of these things
Why don't you
as
tell me where lumber is right now since Trump got elected? What's it up? Don't Google.
no, I'm
Don't
not going to
Google.
Google the price of I don't know the price of
Fourteen,
lumber.
14%.
Is that good or bad?
That's bad
Right. So is doing a
because
trade war.
lumber was leveling down again. not pre-COVID prices of 305 to 355 a lineal foot. We went up to 1800 a lineal foot, right? And we started to drop back down. We got back into the high fives, low sixes. That's still not good either. That still wasn't good either. We need to get lumber back down to, where it was post-COVID.
But are we going to do that by having a tariff war with Canada when we get so much lumber from them?
We do get a lot of lumber from them, Mekey, but we do have a lot of lumber here in America too. We do. We really do.
But
Okay? But hold on. The lumber yards buy from Canada because they can buy them cheaper and make more of a spread. So you gotta have to understand that end of the business, right? If they can buy it cheaper over there and still pull the top dollar over here, they're just making a larger spread on us.
but that's kind of the point, Cindy. This
No,
what
they
Trump is
should
trying.
buy in America and make their spreads smaller and not get greedy, the lumber
But
yards.
but that's not what's going to happen because we are the capitalist country in the world. You can place tariffs on Chinese
Capitalism works.
products. You can
Capitalism
have
works.
capitalism works for those that are in power and benefit from it. You can place tariffs on products from China. I guarantee you, you put them 500%. They can go three other ports around the world, get here to the United States, and they're still going to be cheaper than the US offering. What Donald Trump is doing, he's being performative. I get what he's trying to do. I understand what he's saying. But the day that he stops giving corporate tax cuts to companies that process overseas and manufacture overseas, versus just saying, if you manufacture in China, then I'm going to place tariffs on you. How about you not extend them additional corporate tax cuts? That's going to bring those boys home. How about you give them an incentive for educating the populace and building here in the United States? That's what's going to bring manufacturing home. Right? What being performative about these things and telling Americans, oh, you're going to feel a little bit of hurt. He's not feeling any hurt. So don't tell us and lie to us and act like you're trying to bring manufacturing back to this country because he damn sure didn't do it his first administration, and it looks like he's not serious about it now. That is my point. If you want to bring manufacturing home, first of all, he should start with himself and his Bibles and his tennis shoes. Then he manufactures in China. And then second of all, he should stop playing with people's livelihoods. And I'm thinking about middle America, small businesses who can already barely afford the inflation that, yes, we have had since COVID, since this inflation is global. That's what I'm saying. So, someone get a message to Donald Trump, please. I'm happy to help if he needs it.
All right, guys. All right, so thank you, Mickey. Man, oh man, this economy. I guess today's events has everyone riled up. Wow. So, I guess Benstock's gone, so we're not gonna have Benstock do a Dateline. Wow, folks. Man, oh man. So, that exchange, man. Cindy, Mekey, Benstock, Rachelle, Skald, Tirah. You guys, man, hats off to you guys, man. Hats off to you guys on that exchange. Um, this economy, I mean, what's happening?
Jonathan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Like it was like muted out, and then I feel like I interrupted you, but that wasn't on purpose.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to prove Donald Trump's shoes are actually manufactured by CIC Ventures, and it is an American company. So she got that one wrong. Just thought I'd share that. If
All right.
anybody knows anything about shoes, it's me. I own 800
Yeah,
pair.
I know you do. I saw your shoe collection, your sneaker
Thanks
collection.
for clarifying for us, Jeremy. We appreciate that.
All right.
No
So
problem.
with that being said, guys, let's jump into it, man. Tara, you before I go, you have anything you want to add on this because you jumped into this as well, and you didn't get a chance to really.
No, no, nothing. That was great, Mickey. That's really sort of amazing to listen to. I too don't understand what Donald Trump is doing with tariffs. I think in some senses, I think he knows he's tanking the economy and is doing it anyway, or at least, and I don't understand that. I really don't. I mean, I would have thought that if nothing else, he wants what's best for everyone. And this is not the way to be best for everyone, let's just say. He could, the whole whiplash tariff policy makes no sense to me whatsoever. I do not understand it. There are probably specific places we can impose some tariffs and get the right result, but not as a global tariff policy that doesn't make sense. Certainly in connection with Canada, it makes zero sense. I don't get him at all, and I wish someone would explain it to me.
Do you
This
guys
No,
think
is
he's actually
Tara
wrecking
says
the
he's the
economy?
tariff tyrant.
Honestly, Jonathan, do you think he's destroying the economy?
I,
Like really, I'm
my
curious.
act. What my I think his actions are not helping. I think his actions has gotten us where we are today. Absolutely, I
But
believe
but
that.
if you like if you do like you look at every president, pretty much every president has caused this situation, and then it eventually levels out.
Not true.
No,
Not
that's not
true at
true.
all.
No,
Really?
that's not true.
From
So can we go
Kennedy,
back? Can we go back? Like, let's just do 5 presidents.
let's
Okay,
go to
Uh,
Kennedy.
okay.
From Kennedy
Let's
forward,
one
every
second,
single.
guys. 1 second. So we had two recessions in the '80s, and one was in 1980, began in January of
do you think
1980.
we're in a recession right now?
No, he said
Ronald
we may
Reagan.
be heading to one, but the first
How
recession we
long?
had.
How long have we been heading to a recession for, Jonathan? How many times have we been here
Hold
in
on,
that
one
last
second. I want
10?
to. We had 1 second. We had two recessions in '80. One began in January '80, and we got out in maybe I think July or something like that, like a 6 months recession. Okay, Jimmy Carter was there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then we got this recession of
87.
81, 81, 82. Okay, and that was
87.
it was wait 1 second. No, it's 81, 82, and
Those
that
were good.
began.
Those were
One
good
second.
years. I'm sorry, Jonathan, you're wrong, but go
One
ahead.
second. 81 to 82. There was a recession, Cindy. I know this for a fact.
Okay.
Do
Okay.
you think we're going to be in a recession, Jonathan?
1 second, guys. 1 second. That
Yes.
lasted from, I think, July to November of 82, something like that. I don't know. One of those. Okay. Those were the only two official recessions we had in the 80s. All right. Those were, the next recession we had was in 1990 to 91, the Gulf War recession. That was a recession that, under, once again, George H.W. Bush. All
That
right.
was a
Another
year,
Republican.
Jonathan. Let's go back to 87, 88, 89, 90. Right? We didn't come out of that one till 90.
Cindy, I don't think we had an official recession in
Thousand
87.
percent we did. Come on. What are you kidding me? The real estate market was in the hole. The stock market, what are you talking about?
Yes,
87,
we
88,
did.
89, 90. Those were, trust me, I had just started my company. Those were 4 bad years, like really bad years. How can you sit there and say that? And then we
One
came
second.
out
Oh
of,
yeah, I know that. I know they're bad.
okay.
I
And
know
then
they were
we
bad
came out,
years.
hold on, let's run through the cycles, right? So after 90, we picked right back up. We hit a little hiccup in 99 for a year. Things started to slow down because everyone was like, whoa, 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 hold on. We gained, we went pedal to the metal and everything went flying up again. And then 90 was a little bit of a slowdown and then it picked right back up. And then
I
we
know
went
the market crashed
91,
in
92,
'87.
93, 94, 95, 96, 97. Had some good years. And then '07 hit up again. And
Okay,
'07 took everybody down to their knees in every form, every market, every place.
Cindy, listen to me. And guys, jump in. I need some help here. I'm looking here, and it's confirming what I just saw. It's two recessions in the '80s. The '80 recession, '81, '82. Now I know that we had a market crash because I remember Black Monday. I remember Black Monday happening. I
That
was
was
working.
'87. Black Monday
I
was
ended up, but
Monday of '87.
that doesn't
I
mean
have
it
a,
was a recession. That's
I have a
what.
question. If we're in a
We
recession,
went
how?
into a horrific recession.
I
What do
have a
you?
question.
I don't know what
One
It's,
Google
second,
you're reading.
Skull, are you there? Do we
if
have
if
a?
we if we went to a
Yes,
recession,
I'm
if
here.
we're in a recession, how come people's
Jeremy,
spending
Jeremy,
habits?
1 second. I'm going to bring you right
How
back in
come
because you're
people's
talking.
spending habits have gone up? I'm
Okay,
curious.
I know, but Skull, did we have? Were we in an official recession in '87?
I gotta look. Um,
Listen, I got the GPT machine open. Come on, guys.
yeah, so I
It's
mean,
not accurate.
there are different definitions of the recession. There's the technical and academic one, which is negative quarters of GDP.
Yeah,
However,
Skull. Well, my
right?
question is, did we have an official recession in '87?
You had
That's
a
what I'm asking.
massive
Yeah,
real
we have
estate
No,
market
we had
not
crash.
Black
And you
no, we
had a
Monday.
didn't.
massive
That was
stock
Black
market
Monday.
crash.
Yeah.
Black Monday. The stock market crash is not a recession, guys.
That
No, it's not.
started it.
It's not a
That
recession.
started it.
In 1907, however, there's a significant Black
And
Monday.
Oh, you
Yeah,
guys
Black
can read all you
Monday.
want. I lived through it. I lived through it. Go read all you want. I lived through it.
But
A technical
there was no
recession is
recession.
defined
It's
as
two bad quarters.
two declining quarters of GDP, not the
Correct.
economy and how expensive
Correct.
things are. So
Correct.
we
So, so,
avoided a
so,
technical
so,
recession.
how
So,
many recessions did we have?
so it
1 second.
appears to be that after the crash,
No,
there was not
no.
necessarily a bleed off in GDP. There was obviously the initial. So, this probably wouldn't fit some people's definition, right? Which is the GDP definition. That's what we all learn in school, right?
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, Skull. My question is, did we? Because I only knew of two recessions in the '80s. It was the '80 recession and the '81 to '82 recession. Those are the only ones that I know of. That's why I'm asking you right now, Skull.
Why are you asking Skull? Does he have like a bachelor's in money management, or like I'm curious?
I
An
work.
economist.
I'm an
Okay,
economist that's worked for years on Wall Street and currently
got
work
it.
in venture
Okay,
capital. Okay.
And
Yeah.
got it.
Scott, not to be
So
disrespectful, because
so
I
so
no, no,
just curious.
hold
When you
on,
say
Jimmy,
work for when you
not
say
to be
venture capital,
All right,
disrespectful,
guys,
but
one,
most.
one second. We're talking over each other. That
Okay,
can't work right now. We're recording on a
but
podcast. Cindy, no, wait. Jeremy, I'm gonna go back to you. I want you to jump in, Cindy, and then we're gonna write to Jeremy. Cindy, go ahead.
okay.
okay, Scott knows that most economists, if they were so great at what they do, they would be billionaires. Okay, let's call it
Okay.
what it is. They're economists. Yep, I'll give it to you. But most of them always end up to be wrong, and then you got a couple of them that have been right.
Wow.
So, my respect,
So,
no disrespect to Scott, but I
No,
live in the
that's
real
fair. That's
world.
pretty fair, Cindy.
I
If
but
you're
live
an
in the real
economist,
world.
Jeremy,
So
one moment. Go
now,
ahead.
Jamie Dimon, when you look at Jamie Dimon, a guy like that, that's called markets. But you got to know, when you look at Jamie Dimon, he's always benefit from his calls. And
Okay.
Scott, you got to agree with that one with me.
Okay. So, all right.
No,
So, now, so
no.
Jeremy, go ahead. Jeremy, what's your question now? What
so
was your
so
statement?
so there are two things I'd like to say. One, Cindy's right. For you great economist, then you should be wealthy. And two, if you were a venture capitalist, were you working for a Tier A firm or you working for like a family
No,
office?
we're not here
I'm
to
just
vet him
no
out.
no
We're not
no
here to
no.
vet
I'm
him out.
no.
Credentials?
This is important. If you're
Don't
gonna
give your
talk,
do not give your credentials, brother.
Yeah, we're not here
yeah,
to. No, we're not here to
yeah.
vet him out. One second.
God,
One
no,
mic, guys. One mic. One
God
mic.
forbid you
Yeah.
actually have credibility. Like
Now he has
really?
credibility, but what
No,
I'm
they
saying
have,
is,
listen, they
what?
have
Yeah, we're not
credibility,
doing that.
Jeremy.
Just because
You're
you
wrong
don't
about
know
the
it is a problem.
credibility part, but the truth is,
It's but anybody can be a venture capitalist. I can be like, I'm a venture capitalist. Like,
Okay, yeah, but
oh,
we're
that's
not
Stock
talking
me.
about
market
venture
Hey,
capital.
economist.
hey,
One mic,
hey,
guys.
that's not what he's
hey,
talking about. That's not
Okay,
what he's talking
guys.
about.
All right. Here's
But
the deal. All right, here's the deal, folks. One mic. So anyway, we're not. We asked a question about history that doesn't require all that. That's all we're speaking about right now. Historically, were we in a recession? Everything I'm getting saying that we had two recessions. And Cindy, because of my respect for you, I was trying to see if '87 was an official recession. Mekey, I think Mekey. Someone texted me. Mekey, you have something. You have something you want to add about the recessions?
No, I mean, I don't know why we shun education. Economists are academics, right? They go to school, they study leading, lagging indicators, which would bore most people to death.
Yeah.
Because you have a hardship in this country via things are too expensive, I'm sorry, that's not a recession. That's literally what happened with Biden, Jonathan, right? The stock market was roaring. Remember,
Yeah.
we had the PPP loans, we had all of that. People were doing well, but all of a sudden, because the price of eggs was expensive, the average American, and sometimes not so average, was like, whoa, things are doing badly. No, we metric GDP data. We look at labor, we look at employment, we look at unemployment. And I'm a baby economist. I'm not a real one, right? I'm a baby Keynesian economist, and I adore Skald because he brings this information together, and that's what an economist does. It doesn't mean that he needs to be wealthy for me to respect his knowledge because I understand that. So, yes, because
most
United
economists
States,
and analysts are wrong, though.
No,
Most of
no,
the
no,
time.
how
Jeremy.
are they
okay.
Jeremy.
wrong?
So,
One second,
if,
guys.
So is
if,
Wall Street.
One second. We're not in a debate session portion of the show right now. We're just because I want to get to the debate portion. The debate portion, we're about to jump in right now. But I want, okay, I wanted, okay, all right. So, guys, that's something by the end of the show. Hopefully, we'll get that. We're looking to chat, guys, and find out in terms of were we in official recessions? Because I know that the two official recessions that I know of, happened in the early '80s, and one was under Carter. And that's why when you speak to the Democrats, when they speak about recessions, they always go back to Reagan. Okay, they stop at Reagan, and then they say since Reagan, every Republican has presided over a recession. And the Democrats have presided over a recovery. But because if you just go back a little bit further, Carter threw us into a 6 month recession as well. So I just
That's in
wanted
the
to put that out
seventies.
there.
That's
okay,
the
so
seventies, not the
No,
eighties. That's the
no,
can
no.
seventies
I
with
go?
Carter.
One mic.
Yeah, can I go ahead?
One second,
By the
guys.
way, John, isn't your
One second.
show
Hold on,
called
hold on. I got
Debate
to
the
correct something. You said
News?
something correct. Carter left office January of '81. All right. The election year is 1980. He presided over, I said, from January of '80 to about July of 80, he was in a recession. All right. So that was Carter's recession in 1980. So just want to make sure that, because if anyone heard that, because people tend to think like, oh, no, 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 the new president coming.
Jonathan, we're not going into recession, Jonathan.
Do you know what was happening
Let's
that
let's
year
well, let's
with
be
Carter?
realistic.
Remember the
The,
Iran thing that was happening and the hostages and all
Yeah,
that was
I
going
remember
on?
that, but once again, we can't use that as an excuse because we're not giving Trump grace right
You have
now.
to give
We didn't give,
context, brother.
but no, 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 no. We're not putting it in context. It was a recession, Ty. I respect the hell out of you. We're not putting anything in context with COVID and everything else. Like Mekey said, if you're president and you're leading that happens under your watch, then fucking lead. We can't now say, "Oh no, no," but we don't want to say that about Trump. We don't want to say
Well,
that about Bush.
so
Bush won.
do you blame President Obama for the thing that George Bush did in '07 when he came in office in '08? Do you blame that on him?
What do you mean? Oh, sorry. What do you mean? What
Do
thing?
you blame the housing crisis on President Obama that he inherited from the previous president because he happened to be in office in '08?
He actually fixed. He's known for fixing the housing crisis.
No, but
He's
I'm
not
saying you
known for
said
causing it.
whoever is in
But no,
office
no, no.
has to.
Bush got the cause. But Bush got the blame for the housing crisis. Everyone, no one has blamed Obama for the housing crisis. I don't understand your point. Everyone understands that. That's what makes what Obama, he with the automobile industry and housing and all that, the recovery that and all that other stuff. That's what he's known for. I'm trying to figure out what you're saying here. So, but all I'm saying is you give credit where credit is due, and whether it's good or bad credit. So we're not going to just sit here and say, "Oh, Carter was dealing with the the Iran crisis." Guess what? Trump was dealing with COVID. Bush, HW was dealing with the first Iraq War, and
9/11.
no, no, no. HW was
Oh, the
dealing with the
first one.
first Iraq
Yeah.
War. Okay. All right. And W, okay, Junior, okay, was dealing with 9/11. So once again, we all those things are there. They're in place. So you can't try to give an excuse for Carter. If you're gonna give an excuse for Carter, then give an excuse for everyone else. That's all I'm saying, to be fair. I'm always gonna be fair. So with that being said, you guys,
Okay,
I
can I go ahead and talk here for a minute, Jonathan? Because I've been trying to get in here.
go ahead, go. Go
All
ahead,
right,
Skull.
so I want to explain a few things. We're not in a recession right now. Firstly, I just want to clarify that we aren't there
Yes.
yet. Now, secondly, there's some confusion about bear market versus recession. Bear market can be on technical indicators, and it can just be looking at a market trend. And right now, the markets are trending downward. Right? That doesn't necessarily mean it's a recession. That means the stock market is trending downwards, folks. We are concerned about gross domestic product, right? We're concerned about the dollar value that America is producing. If that starts dropping, then we're in a recession. Now, the Atlanta Fed is projecting a 3.2% drop. However, guys, the Atlanta Fed, they're always running around saying the sky's falling. So take that with a little grain of salt.
Let's
They,
go.
they,
Let's go. Let's go.
they are,
Respectfully, let's go.
yeah.
Respectfully, the question was, how what were the recessions that we had in the '80s? That's what everyone was questioning you
Oh,
about.
yeah, yeah. So the question was the 87 thing. Yeah, so the 87 thing does not meet the most widely accepted definition of a recession, which is negative GDP growth across multiple quarters. However, there are some economists that say like a certain amount of drop in indexes is also a recession. I don't think that's true, right? Like the most technical definition is measuring gross domestic product, country level output across multiple quarters or financial quarters. And if that is negative, then we are in a recession, right? Uh, and notably, we had one under Biden, and then suddenly numbers changed and things were a little different, and we weren't in a recession. But we I that's another debate that we can have
Okay.
later. And
All
Because
right,
then
guys. So
they pumped a bunch of government
yeah.
money in the economy, and
All
people
right.
started spending a bunch of money. I mean, you don't have to be an economist or have a degree to get this. This is
Okay.
yeah,
like, I'm just saying, like, this is stuff you're saying is not like education; it's common sense.
Exactly.
All right, guys. So with
well,
that being
well,
said, with
guys,
that
I
being
mean,
said,
what
with that being said,
I was asked a simple question.
all right. So with that being said, folks. Oh man, so that got spicy. First and foremost, if you're listening to us at home, make sure you download the Chatter app, Chatter social app. You can get that, download that either on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. Download it and come join us here nightly, approximately 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, and just join the conversation live. If you are listening on, oh wow, guys, up top there, we don't have it. Um, can you someone put that link up top? If you guys are here in the audience listening, please make sure you guys follow the podcast, download it, and follow the podcast. That would be greatly appreciated. What I want to do, guys, is this is about January 6th, okay? And what we want to speak about, the pardons. The pardons that has been issued on January 6th right now. It is now they have now said that they extend beyond the capital itself and beyond the date of January 6th. There was a gentleman, and I pull this up. I do this stuff from memory, but that way I can give you some names. That way people can question me. He was arrested. When he was arrested, they raided his home. He was arrested. They recovered guns and drugs from his home. All right. And he pled guilty to that crime in addition to his January 6th crime. And so then he went back and said, "Hey, I'm covered under the January 6th pardon. You guys can't prosecute me for the drugs and the guns that you found in my house. Whatever time later, month later, week later, whatever, months later, whatever. I'll look that up." And initially they said, no, that's a no go. But then they came back and revisited and they said, "Yep, you're right. You're covered." So essentially, crimes that were committed after January 6th, away from the Capitol, okay, he was covered. There was also another gentleman that they raided his home and they found guns, illegal guns, okay, and he was prosecuted for that as well. His crimes have also been wiped away, pardoned. So, man, oh man. So my thing here is, it's crazy. Mekey, you and I we were speaking somewhat, and you spoke about, um, I guess they said, what was that, Mekey? What you said was crazy in terms of this whole January 6th pardon thing. When we were speaking, when you reached out to me about
Yeah.
the courts not having the authority. You want to speak to that?
Right. So there's actually a reference in the article where it says that someone says the courts don't have authority to interpret a pardon when the POTUS is spoken. And I just think that this is crazy because we are clearly supposed to have, right, the three tranches of government. And the president is not the judiciary, nor has he ever been called to be the judiciary. So if we are looking to the president to dictate right law, I think that is just a horrible example. And some of these people, Jonathan, like they were accused of terrible crimes, dealing drugs, right, threatening to murderize civil servants, and I'm just appalled that now it's like these people have gotten a golden pardon, so to speak, right? What are they going to do now? Go rob a bank and say that the reason they robbed it was because of trauma from J6, and they're going to get off for it? This is a
What about
travesty of justice.
This is
what about all the people that
lawlessness.
what about all the people that Biden pardoned?
Yeah, yeah, no, bro.
Right.
We're talking about.
Wait.
Jeremy.
We're talking
Before
about
we get into that,
the,
we're
the
trying to lay.
criminal insurrectionist on January
We're
6th. That's
trying.
what we're
One
talking
second.
about.
I mean, what did they really do? They
One
ran up
mic.
in a
One,
building. They didn't
It's
burn it
called
Jeremy.
down.
One
insurrection.
second. One
It's
guys.
called
1 second.
insurrection.
What we're doing
There
right
there are
now is we're
several
laying the
criminal
groundwork for our
statutes.
conversation.
Yes. Anytime
Boom. There you
anyone
go. Right now, what we're doing is laying the groundwork for the discussion that we're having. We can bring in the waterabouts in a few minutes. Okay. Just want to lay because this is. I'm not trying to put this stuff out that is false or anything like that. Just trying to put out facts right at this point, and we're not trying to be argumentative. So when the FBI raided the Baltimore County of Ellis, Costain or whatever, in February 21, they found cocaine, testosterone, marijuana, a scale, and guns. The defendant was a drug leader. Prosecutor will later say, adding that he was also armed. Castine was merely supplying himself and a few friends, is what he said. So when his charges were dropped, I guess in September 24, he sentenced. I guess the judge sentenced him on the possession of a gun while using illicit drugs to a year and a day in federal prison. But he played a new card. He said he's part of the January 6th I guess 2001. protest. Let's call it that. Okay, let's call it protest. All right, and Donald Trump pardoned him. So essentially, he at first they said no, and after that they said yes. And that's not the only case. There's other case. Okay, they reversed their case. They reversed themselves after they said no weeks later, and said that they received further clarity, and that his crimes were covered under the pardon. So essentially, that's what we're speaking about. In terms of, you know, Jeremy, I'll go to you because you.
Could I just respond?
Go, go,
And I'm probably gonna have a take you're not expecting.
go.
Quickly,
So
Tara, can I ask a
No,
question?
no,
When
no, no,
you
no, no,
say
no, no, no,
okay,
that,
no, no, no.
so here's the thing. What really happened in these cases was the Justice Department agreed to prosecute these people, was prosecuting them for these crimes, and then the Justice DOJ or the district attorneys changed their mind and said, no, this relates, we, on further investigation, we believe that this relates to January 6th and the president's pardon covers it. If Donald Trump wanted to, he could repardon them and make it clear, but you can't have a prosecution in general unless the authorities are willing to prosecute, and they changed their minds on this. But to be honest, Trump could have just, I don't think there's a leg for the people opposed to this right now to stand on, because this is Trump's pardon, and his own DOJ is saying this is what it means.
No,
so this
Tara,
was
I agree.
federal charges, Jonathan?
One second, one second. Tara, I agree with that, Tara. But and so I think a president pardon is a president pardon. I mean, I don't think that when you say when Mickey said that the courts can't interpret that, I don't really. I mean, if the president
if the
pardons.
if the if Donald Trump was out of office, let's just say, and had given a pardon right before he left, and then this came up, I think the courts could have had an argument to interpret it. But given that he is in power now and he was the one who gave the pardon, it seems to me that the DOJ, which he has told us he's directly telling what to do, is merely interpreting his wishes.
Hey, if I may, Tira, I don't know if you just spoken on this in regards to the executive order, and in regards to this, where it states that basically unconditional pardon to all individuals convicted of offenses related to events occurred at or near the United States Capitol on January 6th, and basically and any crimes where at the end it says, I further direct the Attorney General to pursue dismissal with prejudice to the government of all pending indictments against individuals for their conduct related to the events at or near the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. The Bureau of Prisons shall immediately implement all instructions from the Department of Justice regarding this directive. So what I was asking to what Jonathan was posing, does this basically, is that why? Because this is the executive order with the
That is, they are
pardons.
claiming that when they went in to arrest these people, when they found guns and drugs, this was
Hmm.
related to the January 6th events. Now, personally, I don't necessarily think it is, as a matter of fact. I mean, if the guy has drugs, it's not necessarily relating to, but they're saying when they went in to arrest him, these two people, they found this, and that's related enough. Now,
So
once again,
basically,
yeah,
would they have to prove that? So basically, they would have to prove that when they went after them, they weren't going after them in regards to anything in regarding to January 6th. It would have to be 100% an unrelated case for it to be able to stick, right?
well,
Correct.
I would like to, that's what the logic would suggest, but let me put it to you in a different way. Let's say they went in and when they went to arrest someone, they had found child pornography. I'm not convinced that they would have actually said the same thing in that case. Are you?
Well, no, of course.
Yes,
I
they
mean, that's
would.
completely. I mean, listen. At the end of the day, in this sense, what it comes down to is were they going after them 100% unrelated to the January 6th, or were they already on their tail due to something else? And when they actually went in and found these things, they were going in due to that other case that they were on, whether it was guns, drugs, child pornography, as you say, whatever the case, right? So that's what I'm saying. So in regards to the executive order due to that executive order, that would actually do pardon these people for anything that they were possibly arrested for in or around that investigation that possibly had to do with them being at the Capitol on that day.
I don't actually agree with you that the language says that, but I think
Well,
that
no,
that
that's what I was
is,
just reading,
yeah,
and that's why
I
I
know,
asked
but I
you,
don't
does
think
that
it
make
actually,
sense?
I
That
don't think it says that. I think it just sort of says the activities on January 6th, not the day that we arrested you, which could have been 7 months later, a year later,
no, yeah,
etc. I
and
mean,
that's
that's what
why.
they're claiming. They're saying because we arrested you in connection with January 6th, anything, any crime you committed or that we found out about that day is not chargeable. Now, I don't agree with that, but I will say that because Trump is the president now, he could easily clarify it, and I don't think anybody's going to be able to gainsay that.
So, and that's why I was asking, right? Because in the text of the EO on the WhiteHouse.gov, where it says to pardon to all individuals described that were released, and then it says, and shall ensure that all individuals convicted of offenses related to events that occurred at or near the state capitol who are currently held shall be released, and then basically it goes to talk about how anybody who was anybody who was arrested for any other crimes related to at events at or near the White House on January 6th for those to be pardoned as well.
Yeah,
That's why
but
I was
would you
asking.
say that related to
No, that's
includes
why
like a
I
guy who had
wasn't
a
making
drug?
the statement. Remember,
No,
I
no,
came in
I
asking. That's why
think
I was
this is the
asking you.
wrong interpretation. Okay, I'm just telling you, but the DOJ is taking this interpretation, and I don't think there's much that can be done about it.
Gotcha. That's why, yeah, I was just asking, is that why they're able to do it? You know what I mean? Because they put this in.
That's
Donald
the
Trump.
analysis they made. They said that they concluded after reading this and looking at it and probably talking to Donald Trump that that's what he meant.
Yep,
Gotcha.
yep,
Okay.
yeah. Because if you read that, it's a at or around that those crimes were committed at their homes. You
No, no,
know,
no. It says, remember, it says any events related to what
right?
January, anything related to what happened at the Capitol or around the Capitol. Because it said
Exactly.
any events related to. That's why I was just asking that question. Because you guys, that's why I was asking.
Hey, Tara, I'm gonna pose a hypothetical to you. This is Bryant over on the clubhouse side. Does that mean if I rob a bank and I say that I'm doing it to help people clear debts related to January 6th legal proceedings, that they can't charge me?
No, I don't. I think, once again, this is the Justice Department interpretation of the dates on which people were arrested and what that had to do with January 6th. I can't imagine if you made a claim that, oh, I'm doing an unrelated crime, a year later, 4 years later, that because I'm going to pay for the wall or because I'm going to support the people who got out or I'm going to fund the J6 choir and I do it illegally. I don't think they would make that claim because it's already an attenuated claim. I mean, to me, it's already like sort of a wrong reading of this, but we know that Donald Trump, I don't think Donald Trump would agree with that. And so they won't, I think they can be charged. Yeah, I think that would be a little, because then what you
Where's
could
that
see
boy?
happening is anybody who commits a crime who was a J6er would immediately say, well, wait, I was doing it to help the widow of,
That's exactly
the
what's going to
J6
happen.
person, blah, 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 right?
Hold on, that's exactly what's going to happen. You guys don't understand this, you know. There's a full extension of favoritism across this administration right now. So if you support this man, he will go all the way out to ensure that you are pardoned and you don't receive any kind of retribution. You understand me? This guy, brother Trump, he's not running a country in the way that makes any sense at all. This is about retribution, favoritism, oligarchy, dictatorship, racism, sexism, xenophobia, greed.
All things that have been in the
All of
government
all of
for
these things
hundreds of
is going
years.
through this entire administration right now, right? You see, listen, Wall Street crash 1,000 intraday, 1,000 points, right? The goods them not moving off of the shelf, the goods them not moving off of the wharf, right? Jobs, people losing jobs right now, as you can see. CPI numbers coming out on Wednesday. It's going to be dismal. You understand me? All of these things, Trump does not give a darn about American people. Trump only cares about people who support him and himself. And that's it. We're in for a world of hurt. Preparing yourself. That's all I have to say.
If you notice, those that were pardoned who have gotten recently arrested for other crimes, the executive order does not cover them. and the DOJ has not stepped in or threatened anybody.
What did
Um,
you say? You talking about recent crimes? You talking about like?
yeah,
Okay,
after they
no,
got
okay,
yeah
okay,
after they got released, a couple of them committed some crimes, and they
gotcha.
got the executive order doesn't cover that.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Okay, no, you're
And
absolutely correct.
another point I wanted to make is, um, it's interesting, but all those clemency and pardons that Biden issued, two-thirds of those people are still sitting behind bars because the DOJ is refusing to let them out.
Okay, well,
Where are you getting that information? Just curious where that came from.
yeah, that's like I said. I can't.
That sounds kind of, I don't know, way
Jonathan
off.
texted the article to you from my
The word
a
is
couple days ago.
Seems propagandish. What's the article?
Why does it have to be propaganda if she's doing her research and she's bringing it forward just like everybody else?
I'm
Stop
just
picking
saying
on her.
I said it seems propaganda.
No, no, you're
Yeah,
picking on
I
her on
know, I
purpose.
know, but we don't. We want to keep this thing
Wait,
moving. We got a nice
what?
little flow. We got a nice little
Oh
flow
my
going here.
god.
Got a nice little flow here. Go ahead.
Hey,
So, Jeremy, go ahead. Jeremy, what are you saying now?
I just say it seems a little propagandish. Like I'm just saying, like, is
Uh,
there like some type of source of info on that? Because I don't,
no,
I
but
haven't seen anything on that.
and he has a right to call out, something that doesn't seem right, and because
Yeah, I didn't insult her. I was just asking a
yeah,
question.
it's because it didn't seem right to me as well. All right, given what's going on with his pardons, with Trump's pardons right now, so I don't think that would. You said you sent that the other day.
Yeah, I think she's correct because I remember seeing something to the same effect. So let me go find it and send it.
Yeah,
That'd be
because
awesome. Thank you. You
yeah,
should do
yeah,
that.
I don't see it. I don't see it. ALU sues Trump. Supreme Court denies Trump administration. Trump administration dropped Biden lawsuit over emergency abortions. Yeah, I don't see that, Shauna. I went all the way back to February 21st of the text messages. Actually, February. Yeah, I went back to wow. What is this? February 10th, Shauna. I don't see anything.
Hmm.
So if you can resend it, that'd be great. All right. Because yeah, I definitely,
Yes,
Jeremy.
I'm resending it. Sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't
Well,
mean
can
to
I
ignore
ask
you.
you
let's do it, Jeremy. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm just asking where did it come from? That story.
No, so let's see. No, we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait and see if she sends it. All right, and then we
Oh,
take it from there. That's what we're
okay.
waiting for. All right, good stuff, guys. All right, guys, debate the news. Welcome to debate the news. Excited to have you guys here. Hey, if you guys are listening at home, make sure, guys, download 10 more episodes. All right, share this with your friends. Let your friends know that you're listening to Debate the News. Tell them how awesome it is. Tell them about the group of people that we have here, and just the truth, the misconceptions, the everything that we put out there. Just share it all. It'll be fun. It's a fun listen. It's a great listen to you for you. It's a fun listen for you. So let them in on the fun as well. Hey guys, if you guys are here in the room, make sure you guys hit the link up top. Follow the podcast. Okay, follow the podcast. The room the other night was a really great night on Saturday on the 8th. Make sure you guys go back and listen to that podcast. We had all women moderators handle it, and they did a phenomenal job. And so, looking forward to having them participate from here on out with Debate the News. So, Mekey, shout out to you. You did a phenomenal job that day. All right. So, with that being said, guys, I want to jump back in. Shauna, let me know when you send that over. I'm waiting to see it. I don't see it yet. And Rachelle, since you jumped out there, put your head on out there on the chopping block as well. I'm waiting for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're gonna show get it from me 100%. Just
All right,
wait.
I'm gonna hold you accountable for that as well. Because guess what, guys? We challenge all sides in here. So, Tirah, this January 6th. So essentially, my interpretation is this right here: you cannot challenge a presidential pardon, especially if that president is still in office and they're able to interpret it themselves. Mekey, you said something about the courts, and that's one of the things that fascinated me when you said that is because I gave it some thought, and and I want you to jump in and just correct me if you think I'm wrong, Mekey. And don't do it gently either. Be Mekey, but if the president is there to interpret their wishes, then you can't question it in terms of a pardon. And so, I think when you say the three branches of government, that it's going to go against one of the branch. It's going to impede on the judicial branch in terms of interpretation. I don't think that should apply to pardons because pardon power is absolute. Agree? Disagree?
I disagree with that. And I think
Okay.
that we need to look at that in terms of how the presidential pardons are typically used. For a lot of these, I believe it was 1,600 individuals who were issued these certificates. It was very clear that the pardon was relating to the events that happened on January 6th. I think for the president to, for the interpretation to basically be extended to people that are essentially lawbreakers, right? Um, one of the individuals, I believe, he even threatened his family with weapons. And he was a special forces individual. And it's really just kind of frightening to me, Jonathan, that this individual may be absolved of all of his crimes. So he may be able to, get a job, right? He may be able to interact with local society. And I just absolutely don't agree with this. I know we heard from Tirah about if this is how the DOJ is making this interpretation. But again, I'm just really confused at how always with Donald Trump, there's some unprecedented, right? Determination of the law, right? And we all know what the law is, and what the rule breakers are and what you should not do. And one of these guys, he had a bunch of grenades in his house, so he's not planning on harming anybody, right? I'm just not sure why we are giving these people the benefit of the doubt, and why the DOJ, which should be the Department of Justice, which should, bring the hammer down on these guys, right, is just kind of willing to say, well, this is what the president intended, so it's just business as usual. But then again, I have a problem with the pardons myself, right? So maybe I'm just not the right person to ask. I think it's an issue. I think it's concerning because we have people that are not willing to stand up to Donald Trump, and he's basically just doing this to fulfill campaign wishes. But to what end, right? Where is this going to stop? What's going to stop these people from doing this again? As I said, if they have Donald Trump in office, to basically say, oh, it was just boys being boys or whatever, right? I think I'm just not okay with this at all.
When the DOJ recommends no prosecution, typically, almost always, we're seeing it in New York, we'll see what happens. Typically, the cases are dismissed. So that's the way the courts work. You need to have the prosecutors bring the case, and if they choose not to bring a case, the courts generally cannot do anything about that, right? So it's not even a question of the interpretation of the pardon, it's the fact that the case has been dismissed, or the DOJ is dismissing this case. We're seeing this in a lot of circumstances now, but they have the right to do that. The more interesting question to me would be if after Donald Trump or Joe Biden, let's say right now, the DOJ prosecutes one of those people who Biden ostensibly pardoned and says it was an illegal pardon or it's outside the scope of the pardon, etc. What would the courts do then? Because that would be interesting. Like I said, the Trump thing is pretty straightforward. He doesn't want to have them prosecuted. The DOJ isn't prosecuting, can't do anything about it. But what happens if there's an argument as to what the scope of the Biden pardon would be? Do the courts even intervene? I don't know.
Yeah, good question, folks. So I listen to me, Mickey, like you. I have a problem with the pardons. Okay, so but I don't. What I don't have a problem with is the presidential power to pardon. Okay, so I don't want that taken away. Okay, that's been there, and it's been used since the beginning of our nation. So I don't think that should be encumbered in any way at all. All right. So I don't have a problem with the president's power to pardon. I think Donald Trump's power to pardon should be unquestionable. I think that what he should, I mean, I think if he wants that to extend to that, hey, and even if he wants to go out and pardon people that went out and committed subsequent crimes because of their mental state, because they had to go through the quote unquote the stress of the Biden administration put under them. That's his right. So I'm not looking to curtail the presidential pardon powers because I don't think we're going to have people in in office that's going to abuse it. So that's just the way I feel about it. Yeah. Anyone wants to jump in? I think 9/11. I mean 9/11. Ooh,
I just
shit.
texted it to you.
Okay. Good. Anyone who wants to jump in?
Anna, what do you think about
Yeah,
the question I raised? Would you mind answering? What would
I want
I'm
happen
to.
if the DOJ indicted someone who was pardoned by Biden, claiming the pardon didn't extend to whatever it was?
so are you talking about family member pardons or are you
Doesn't matter, anybody. Let's say that the person claims that I was pardoned for this behavior and the DOJ indicts them anyway. What happens?
the same thing that well, it should be quid pro quo, but as you and I both know, under what's happening, there's such a anger towards each side that Trump's DOJ will go after them, and it
What
won't be
happens?
quid.
What does the court do? Does the court analyze what the pardon means in that case? Or does it say it's a political question? I can't gainsay the DOJ. What does
No,
it do?
I think the court would analyze it. I think that there's enough people that would analyze it, enough courts that would analyze it. I mean, right now, most of the courts have been going against Trump, as you know, as you and I have talked about or texted about. And I think that if that was to happen, and excuse me, and it was a federal crime, I think that DOJ decided to pursue that could fall under the wording of the pardon. I think the courts would intervene. They haven't stopped yet. Does that help it, Tira? And I'll send you the
I
article.
was just interested in hearing this because, typically right now the Supreme Court has said we cannot even analyze the president's actions at all if they're doing an official duty, which would be a pardon, right? That's within the scope of their official powers. So I'm
But
not
other
sure.
courts have been.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it's a real, to me, it's a very thorny question, and let's hope it doesn't come up.
Agreed. I mean,
Yeah, I have a question. What the fuck is a monster nuke?
A big one.
No, it's like Trump is talking about something about a monster nuke ending the world. It's like all over the news all of a sudden. I just got like 10 notifications about it.
Like not
Monster.
tonight, right? We don't have to like take cover.
No, I just saw like a notification that says Donald Trump says monster nukes can end the world. Like,
Well,
what
I
the
mean that's
fuck
a
is that?
given. We've always known that.
But what the
Yep.
Big
fuck is
bombs
it?
kill people.
Yeah. 1 second, guys. Okay. So when we let's get back to this here. I'm reading, Shauna, and you're right. It appears that not pardons, clemency. Okay. The people that was given clemency, and so once again, um, he specified but it's so couldn't be released until this July. So, but I think uh, Biden specified that they couldn't be released until July. So Tara, I'm gonna forward this to you, Tara, because I got a show to run. I want you to look at it.
I sent
So
it to her and I sent it to Rachelle.
uh,
Did you
uh,
were you able to access it? Because I unlocked it to give it to you.
yeah, so yeah, there is.
So,
So there it is, guys. You guys can tear that apart because I'm in the middle of the show. I'm trying to read it at the same time. In fact, you know what? I'll put this here in the group chat as well. That way,
Yeah, group chat. Yes, please don't put my personal stuff into the chat because it's unlocked under.
why would I use your personal stuff?
Because I unlocked it to be able to send it to you because
Okay.
it's like
Okay. No. Okay. No
a
problem.
Nexus kind
No
of thing.
problem. We're
Thank you.
recording. Yep. No problem. That's fine. Hey guys. Yeah. So anyway, this January 6th thing, it just keeps going.
Jonathan, I just
So
read it, and it says that Biden had specified people couldn't be released till July, so they're not being released till July. I don't see if
that
that's.
that's
I
that's
mean,
exactly what I just said. Remember, I
right?
just
It
said that.
doesn't seem to be they're keeping them in prison for no reason. It means
No,
they're
only
told.
one person was till July. If you continue
No.
down further, it show it. Okay,
No. One second.
then
Hold
I'm
on.
reading something different,
so
and that
I have
doesn't surprise me.
They say, wait. It says Burke is one of nearly 700 clemency recipients who Biden specified couldn't release. One of 700 who Biden specified, okay, couldn't be released. So there's 700 people he said couldn't be released until July.
Yes, but he get granted 1,500 clemency, and the other ones haven't been released either.
Uh,
Okay, that's true. Later on down, it says only 383 or 63 have actually been released of the people who were supposed to be released, and there are more. So they are definitely slow walking this.
Can I
Go,
be honest?
Shauna.
Sometimes,
Thank you for bringing the facts, Shauna.
can I be honest though?
May
Sometimes we
I?
argue so much here in DTN that I forget some like what exactly we started arguing about.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So,
May
Skull,
I?
who's
Yeah.
that?
If I may, I have an opinion that's probably not going to be popular here, but it
Those are
is
our
indeed
favorite.
my opinion, and that is that I think, narrowly speaking, pardoning the Jan Sixers, now not necessarily the one that like was involved in that police officer having a heart attack or other shenanigans, right? I mean, obviously there were some standout heinous people that deserve jail, but I think in general, generally speaking, that pardoning the January Sixers was a good move. And I didn't have this opinion at first, right? But after looking into how the presidential pardon came about, looking into how it was actually debated, because they did, just like we're right now having a debate on this power, Greene, the Constitutional Congress, they had a huge debate on this, and it's all over the federal papers. Like many of the federal papers, especially in the 70s, because they're numbered, were arguing about this, not 1970s, Federalist Paper number 70. And 74, I believe Alexander Hamilton makes a great point, and I would just like to read just two sentences of what this founder and framer of the Constitution said about it, if that's all right with everybody.
Let's go.
Yeah. So here it is. He says, on the other hand, when sedition had proceeded from causes which had inflamed the resentments of the major party, they might often be found to be obstinate or inexorable when the policy demanded a conduct of forbearance or clemency. But the principal argument for reposing the pardoning power in the case of the chief magistrate, meaning president, is this: in seasons of insurrection or rebellion, there are often critical moments when a well-timed offer of pardon to the insurgents or rebels will restore tranquility to the commonwealth, and which, if allowed to pass, may not improve. And my
I
only
disagree.
criticism here is if we are pardoning the January Sixers and saying, hey, these people really thought their government was being taken over, and that's free speech. I would like to see people that were arrested for the Black Lives Matter protest also pardoned because they were also engaging in free speech. And then again, if they were engaging in other types of criminal conduct, like assaulting people or doing all kinds of other stuff, don't pardon those folks, right? But I do think that there is, a reason for restoring peace to our nation, and that the pardoning power, even then, they thought it could be used strategically to help prevent something awful like a civil war. And I land, and I'll post a link to that actual thing written by Alexander Hamilton in the
Yeah.
1700s in the chat.
Yeah, I disagree
So,
with that. So let me
yeah.
tell you 1 second. 1 second. I disagree with that totally, Skull. All right, and that's if we were talking about like a civil war, and and the heal the nation, we were to do that. But in this instance, we weren't fractured, okay, and he won, and he did it as a hey, thank you or whatever, a tip of a hat to his supporters. That was totally not what Alexander Hamilton meant by that, because a strategically timed clemency of pardon you know can help heal a fractured nation. We're not. I mean, we're still fractured. Yeah, all right, that fractures it even more. No, if it was offered by the Biden's party in order to do so, like, okay, no, that wasn't done. That's not. I mean, I think you just gave a generous, I guess, definition to that. I believe. Go ahead, Terry. You can jump in.
Well, I agree with you, Jonathan, and I'm not sure that's what Hamilton had in mind because, as you pointed out, the person who should have been pardoned to heal the nation would have been Biden, not Donald Trump. Moreover, I should point out one more thing. When Donald Trump pardoned all the J6ers, there were many people, even in his own party, who said, well, why don't you go through it carefully and, don't pardon the ones who were violent against police officers, who engaged in those sort of acts, who had weapons, etc. And what Donald Trump essentially said is it's too much trouble, just too much trouble to try and figure out who I should pardon. So I'll pardon all of them. So this was not to heal the nation. It was not to do any. It was just easier for him to do it, to reward his supporters. He has tried to erase January 6th. Is that healing the nation? He literally has tried to do everything he can to suggest it never happened. And if it did happen, it was a totally justified reaction to the terrible theft of the election against him. And so he's not healing the nation in this case. He's actually, in my view, he's kept wounds reopened.
Let me. I want to throw in a different take. Let's say Donald Trump was assassinated, and I'm not for or against. I'll always say that I'm more neutral. Do you think there would have been a civil war?
Well, the thing is, how do I say this? I have not seen evidence that Democrats would engage in the sort of behavior that some of the MAGA people engaged in. I just haven't. I understand you're saying BLM, but not as being made to do so by the president, etc. Do I think there would have been MAGA supporters if Donald Trump had been assassinated who would have I think there would have been some. I don't know how many there would have been. I mean, to be honest, it's such a hypothetical. I can't answer it. There would have been some people who would have claimed it was a conspiracy by the deep state to kill Donald Trump, and we're going to rise up against them. I don't know that most people would have done that. I sort of feel like, people would have waited and there, etc. But I do think that if that had happened, I'm not convinced that J.D. Vance wouldn't have won anyway. Truthfully, so I think
No, I'm not talking
it's.
about. You're right. I'm not saying that because let's talk about historical. Civil wars only start with about 3 to 5% of the population anyway. So let's say the minority.
But the only
But then
time
that then that domino.
we've had a lot of issues in this country, and the only civil war that I'm aware of was one which was long-standing wound of slavery and differences that went back almost to the Constitution itself. Correct? So to me, this is a, how do I say this? If that had happened to Donald Trump, that would have been more of a blip in time rather than this long-standing festering wound that the nation was unable to do anything about. That's my view, but I don't really know.
Oh, sorry about that. I was talking. I said that was a pointless question, but anyway, let's get back to it, guys. Listen to me. I don't agree with the pardons. All right. I said that already, and I mean it. I think that the pardons were not needed, and even if he wanted to go in, he felt like there were some people that were punished excessively. Sure, but to go out there and not just pardon them for the crimes that they committed there, but the crimes. I mean, when they go to someone's home and they find drugs and guns and all that other good stuff. Hey, let's pardon them. That just doesn't carry weight with me, guys. Um, and that has never happened in this country before. That someone wrote that like I think Tara, the Civil War, we had to go back to the Civil War to see something like this, right?
We have to go back to Civil War to see a Civil War. We haven't had
Yeah.
another one in this country. We've had plenty of fractures. We've had plenty of times when we were at each other's throats, but we have never had a war other than that one. So, look, I think the fact that we all know right now that Donald Trump is the person who authorized the DOJ to say that they shouldn't charge these people, right? There's no way the DOJ just did it on their own. That means that Trump went to them and said, no, you're right, Jonathan. I mean, he basically is protecting them. I don't know how far he would go, though, and I like to think he wouldn't just continue to pardon them for anything subsequent they might do, but I don't know.
Well, I just looking at this, I just think that is ridiculous. To have people with guns, grenades. Mickey said grenades, right, Mickey? uh, and
Yeah,
think.
this guy had grenades. They were dangerous. Did you see like one had hundreds of rounds of ammunition? Like what else were they planning to do? I'm just not sure why these things are, I know what laws and rights and as you said the sanctity of the presidential pardon, but something about this just seems dangerous to me.
Didn't Enrique, the Proud Boys leader, wasn't he? Didn't he get in trouble again? Like after, like wasn't he arrested or something?
Well, it's a misdemeanor charge of some sort of minor assault. I'm not even sure. They probably will, not even do anything about it, truthfully.
I believe two have been shot and killed by the police already. Is that correct, guys?
Yes, I believe so. Of the
Uh,
J6ers are already dead.
yeah, two of them are already dead. The two of them have already been shot shot by the police. I'm not laughing, okay, guys. Well, I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm laughing at the how ridiculous it is that two have already been shot and killed by the police. All right,
Can I ask a
and
question?
sure, go ahead.
So the January Sixers, did they come as a group? Did they come collectively together? Did they know each other beforehand, or were these separate people coming for the same reason? Obviously, um, that were all involved.
They all came separately. Some people came as a group, a small group, I imagine. So some people took private planes, you know, and all kinds of things to get there. So that question.
Yeah, that answered my question.
Okay, I'm just where are we going with it? That's it because I'm trying to figure it out because as a question, it's an interesting question. I'm just trying to figure out where you're going with it.
I'm just trying to gain some knowledge, a little better understanding, so I can better contribute to the conversation here.
No, no, they got together. It was a mob mentality. Tirah, Mekey, it was a mob mentality. They got there. They marched down, and like I said, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. If I was there and I thought about going down there just to check it out, that's just me. I would have got locked up. I would have been in that Capitol, okay, and I would have had to be like the biggest trumper because I wouldn't want to be in prison. But once again, I would have been in that Capitol mob mentality. So I'm not saying everyone that went into the building are like criminals or well, they criminals. Well, they all broke the law, but are bad people. There's some curiosity seekers. I would have went in the building because I have never been in the Capitol building before. I would have went in just for that reason alone, and
You
at
would
the same.
you would have passed security and went inside. I don't think you would have done that, John. If they were said stay out, don't go. You're not going to go in the building
Oh
after.
yeah, definitely I would have. Yeah, definitely I would have. 100%. I'm sorry.
That's
That's just
unlawful, Jonathan. That doesn't sound like something you would do.
yeah, but everyone else is doing it, and
Come on. You know what they say. If everybody else jumped off the bridge, would you too?
that's different. You would never think that they would go and find all the cell phone information for everyone. And they wouldn't have to look very far from me because I would have my phone like, yo, live stream, like, yo,
You've
yo,
been on
yo.
chatter. You'd be like, y'all, check this out. Look at these
Yeah.
crazy.
And so some of the people that follow me or whatever, they're like, he was in it, So no, I definitely, and I've said this many times because I know it's true. When they had the protest, I drove down there, and that day I was in my office, I was standing there, and there was a settlement that was taking place, and I was like, I made, I had someone stay in to take care of that settlement, and so me and my friend, we were going to go down there. And then it started jumping off, like, oh man, and this started getting really crazy. And then we were trying to rush to get out, and just never happened because we jumped, we went like during the protest. I never protested. I would go to these protests. I would shoot to New York to see what the protests look like. I would shoot over to Philly to see what it looked like, and then I shot down to D.C. And I got into a big down in DC. I don't want to talk about that. I got into like a fight down there, but down in DC at the protest. But it was one of those crazy things. It was one of those things that I would just jump in the car and go, me and my butt. So I definitely would have been arrested because I would have thought that there would have been nothing to pay, no repercussion. So I understand how a lot of people got caught up in it. I knew that had I been there, I would have been there, and I would have stuck out like a sore thumb. You know what I'm saying? I would like a like a uncoated raisin in a bowl full of yogurt coated raisins. So I would
So,
have stuck
so
out.
you telling me when people up there saying hang Mike Pence and talk about they gonna do something to people that's in office, you gonna still follow?
No, I'm not gonna follow. Yeah, I'm gonna follow because I want to see them do it. I'm like, ooh, they gonna get that. I would have followed. I'm not gonna try to stop. I'm
You know
not.
what the word? You know what the words acting in concert mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That would have been me. Listen to me, guys. The logic, and this is why I can empathize with them. But it is what it is. They broke the law, and since I didn't go down there, I can stand on my. I can be a little righteous and say, "Yeah, you guys broke the law, so you get what you deserve." But I would have been there. I certainly would have walked my ass in there, 100%. I would have
You
walked
can't. You
in.
can't. Can you please stop saying that out loud? Because it's really bothering me. You can't say in one sentence, "Hey, I know this was illegal, but I would have done it anyway." Don't say that. Don't do that.
No, guys, I skydived. I got certified as a skydiver.
Really though.
So I did all that. I'm not. So that's just me. I take risks. Come on. It's like no. Hopefully people understand that. So
I
with
think the
that,
people that did that made a mockery of this country, right? And
go
they
ahead.
treasonous, right? They treasonous, and they don't really give a fuck. And by him pardoning them, that really just made this a laughing stock of the world. That's what I really believe.
Who do you think's laughing specifically?
We look like a laughing stock right now because they just made this country look like it was just foolish.
No, and I know I'm being a little bit. I'm being a little bit funny here,
If you're
but the
gonna
thing
sit
is,
here and tell, if you're gonna sit here and go in there and they talking about hanging the vice president, they put a gallows outside of the goddamn office, right? Talking about hang the vice president because he refused to not certify the election. Let's really talk turkey or what really happened. Like, come on, stop playing games. Like, this shit ain't no laughing matter.
Bryd, DaGod, I 100% agree with what you just said.
Yeah, it's not a laughing matter. I would have went there. I'm sorry. I would have went in. I would have recorded it. Okay, to me. It's history. I'm a history buff. I would have walked my ass in there because I saw all these other people walking in there. I'm like, okay, they can't get all of us. But I was wrong. I mean, they got everyone. But that's just my thinking. To see things like that happen. And there were plenty of people that were journalists, that were citizen journalists, that got caught up in there. They were citizen journalists. They went in recording, didn't take part, actually was totally opposed to what was happening, and they got caught up in it as well.
citizen journalists or content creators. I mean, everything.
Both. So no, 100%. Guys, but with that being said, a blanket pardon for everyone. I think when Donald Trump said it would take too much work to do, I just think it was not even laziness because he wouldn't have had to do the work. He wouldn't have had to do the work. He wanted everything done quickly, and all he could have had, he would have had others doing the work. So it wouldn't have been too much work for him to determine. Somebody else would have made those determinations, and that's what it been it. And the people that didn't get pardoned, they could have appealed to him. If didn't get pardoned in that first round, they can appeal to him, and then he could then look at it independently. But to just pardon everyone got
Is
an unconditional pardon. So no, I 100% am opposed to that.
I'm just curious. Is Jeremy still in the room?
No, we will hear him. Why is that?
That's probably true. I know. I wanted to ask him the same question. I was curious, just with how you were thinking about going into there.
So anyway, with that being said, folks, anyone have any other questions? All right, so here's the deal, folks. The economy, the markets took a bath. I mean, the Dow closed down nearly 800 points. Uh, the stock market, the Dow Jones average closed down just shy of 900 points, I believe. And S&P was down. Everything was down today. Everything was down. Folks, listen to me. Um, this is direct. It is a direct result of everyone's the uncertainty that people have about what's happening with the tariffs, with the trade war. All right, it seems like it's going to be a real deep trade war that they're going to have. So, I, as we sit here and people say that Donald Trump isn't responsible for what happened today on the 10th of November, with that, I guess that interview he gave on yesterday on Fox. Okay, when he wouldn't answer, and I think they asked him again on Air Force One, if I'm mistaken. Then they asked him again on Air Force One. He dodged it again on Air Force One.
Mm.
Anyone? Anyone? All right. So anyway, I think the reporter, because they saw the interview and they questioned him on Air Force One, and he dodged it again on Air Force One. So
Oh, dodge. I wasn't sure the word you were saying. Thank you, Jonathan.
so with that being said, I think he's directly responsible for what happened here, and something's gonna have to stop. Someone's gonna have to stop. We got to get some stability here. This is going to affect us, guys. Not trying to get into the politics of we're just speaking about policy today, and we're speaking about the policy of the part, and then we're speaking about the policy that led to the sell-off that we had today, the market plummeting that we had today. Skull, what do we have to do to get this thing right before we go? Skull going
What to get what right?
the economy. What do you think we have to do to get this thing back right? Because right now, I believe we're into Biden's Dow Jones average at this point, correct?
That's right. The entire pump that resulted from Trump's inauguration and him winning the election has now sold off, and we are now beginning to sell off on equity values that were established under the Biden presidency. So we've basically erased the last several months of gains.
So
And
what are people hoping for in order to fix this?
what can they hope for in order to fix this? I mean, we got to cool it on the tariff talks. And the problem with tariffs is that they're a unilateral action, right? So just because one country places a tariff doesn't mean the other country is going to do that. The corollary is also true, right? If we remove our tariff, like we've paused our tariffs on Canada, Canada's still tariffing us. Yesterday, or sorry, today, Monday, they began tariffing the energy that they send us. They have several power plants, and they're now putting a tariff even on the energy, on the kilowatt hours that they're sending on transmission lines across the border. So, and this is the danger of getting into a tariff war. Once you put that out there, you can't necessarily pull it back, because whether or not the other country removes their tariff is entirely up to them. And so we got to just cool it on the tariff talk. And this backing away from Europe, I'm not sure what the upshot is. I mean, after Canada and Mexico, Europe is a huge trading partner for us. I honestly do not understand the economics of moving away from Europe, and I land.
Wow, let me just say this to you. I just thinking about what's going on, guys. Listen, you know, Trump promises reciprocal tariffs on Canada, and guys, this thing's only going to escalate. Yeah, it's only going to escalate. I guys, listen to me. Uh, Hopefully, something changes. But hey, you know what? This may turn out to be something good. I'm not going to take that away. I'm not going to take that away. I want to say thank you to you guys once again for coming out. I want to say thank you to Mekey once again for coming out and stepping up as well. Appreciate you as well. Tirah, Rachelle, we had Jeremy came here. We had Cindy Stumpo as well. We had just many people come up here and speak tonight. And I'm waiting to see what tomorrow brings. Tomorrow, I want to see what this market does. Hey, folks, I know you guys haven't had an opportunity to. Some of you guys haven't had the opportunity to hit that link up top. Why don't you guys take this time right now to do so? Hit the link up top. All right.
And
And
download 10 episodes of Debate the News.
yeah, absolutely. Download some episodes there, folks. Also, guys, do you guys believe that we have episodes from 2022? 2022 is what we have episodes from. So you guys can go ahead and download those episodes. So with that being said, folks, I want to say thank you guys once again for coming out. Hey, once again, if you're listening to us at home, download the Chatter social app. All right, you can download that at the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming out tonight. I want to give a shout out to all the people over on CEH that's been helping out as well. Freddie, Ken, Chris, Tyson,
Real one.
Consuela, Tracy. I want to shout you guys out as well. You guys make it flow. Without you guys, there wouldn't be a show. But more importantly, Danielle Paci. You know what? Hold on 1 second. I gotta stop this. Wendy Vereen, are you here? Wendy Vereen, are you here? I mean, Wendy Vereen.
Butler, Wendy Butler.
The Butler. I know. Wendy Vereen was someone I ran track with. She made it to the Olympics. I don't know why. Wendy Butler, are you here?
Hey guys.
There
Hey,
she is. There's the woman of the hour. Hi, beautiful. How are you?
Yeah,
hey,
I'm
hey,
calling you
hey.
this young lady I used to run track with when I was in high school. I don't know why her name came up. But hey, you want to tell everyone about your show tomorrow?
Oh, we have a good one coming up. It's going to be our very own Danielle Paci over on Chatter is going to be our guest, and she's going to be talking about her new agency. She's got a new podcast agency. And anyway, going to be a really good one. Please join us over on the Rainmakers Power Hour with, of course, Danielle Paci and my co-host Daphne Christine and Credit Ninja. Love to see you guys.
All right, guys, and that is tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Chatter Social app. So if you're listening to us, on the podcast, and you guys want to join us, just download the Chatter Social app. So once again, let's try this one more time, folks. I want to say a big shout out to each and every one of you guys. Thank you, and Danielle Paci, you're phenomenal. You are phenomenal, guys. So shout out to Danielle Paci,
And
folks.
check out Danielle's own podcast. It's called Amplify You. You'll find it on all the Spotify's and stuff as well. She's amazing. Thank you, Jonathan.
Absolutely. So, guys, with that being said, I'm not going to say anything other than that. Danielle, definitely appreciate you, Danielle. You have a great day. Guys, we will be back tomorrow. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. Download some episodes, folks. Love you guys.